Most people think they're bad with money because they don't earn enough. But let me be honest, that's rarely the real problem. I've seen people making $40,000 a year build solid savings, and I've seen people earning six figures living paycheck to paycheck. The difference isn't income, it's habits. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Some of the things you do every single day without even thinking are quietly draining your bank account. In 2026, money isn't just about earning more. It's about not leaking what you already have. And today, I'm going to show you 7 habits that are keeping you broke habits most people never question, even in their 40s and 50s. If you recognize even one of these, it could change your financial future. Let me explain something I see all the time. Once people cross 35 or 40, life gets complicated. There are bills, responsibilities, maybe kids, maybe aging parents. At that stage, people stop experimenting with money. They settle into routines, and those routines become habits. The problem is, many of those habits were never designed to build wealth. They were just convenient, comfortable, easy. And over time, those small, comfortable decisions quietly create financial stress. You don't notice it daily, but you feel it when you check your balance. You feel it when an emergency hits. You feel it when retirement starts looking closer than you expected. Let's start with the first habit that keeps people stuck. Most people don't realize how dangerous spending without awareness really is. I'm not talking about big purchases. I'm talking about the small, repeated ones. Coffee, subscriptions, quick online orders, food delivery. Individually, they feel harmless. Together, they are destructive. Imagine this: a 2-year-old working professional, stable job, decent salary. Every day, they grab a $6 coffee, maybe lunch outside for $15. Add a few online subscriptions, streaming, apps, memberships. Nothing feels excessive. But by the end of the month, they've spent over $800 on things they barely think about. That's nearly $10,000 a year. The mistake here isn't spending. It's unconscious spending. Money leaving your account without intention. The solution is simple, but not easy. You need visibility. Track every dollar for 30 days. No guessing, no estimating. Write it down or use an app. When people do this honestly, they're shocked. Not because they're irresponsible, but because they were unaware. Let me be clear. Awareness changes behavior faster than motivation ever will. Now let's talk about another habit that quietly destroys financial stability: relying on future income to fix today's problems. This one is very common, especially among people in their 40s. The mindset goes like this: I'll earn more later. Things will improve. I'll catch up. But life doesn't always work that way. Here's a real scenario. A man in his late 40s keeps increasing his lifestyle. Bigger house, better car, more expenses. His income grows slowly, but his spending grows faster. He assumes promotions or bonuses will solve everything. But when an unexpected job change happens, or income slows down, everything collapses. The mistake is depending on uncertain future income while ignoring present discipline. The solution? Build your life based on your current income, not your expected income. If extra money comes in later, treat it as a bonus, not a necessity. This creates a safety buffer. It protects you from uncertainty. Most people don't realize this, but financial stress doesn't come from low income alone. It comes from unstable expectations. Let's move to another habit that's extremely dangerous: avoiding financial decisions because they feel uncomfortable. Let me be honest. Many people delay important money decisions for years. Investing, insurance, retirement planning, debt management, not because they don't care, but because it feels overwhelming. So they postpone it. Think about this example. A woman in her early 50s knows she should start investing. She's heard about it for years, but she feels confused, unsure. So she waits and waits and waits. 10 years pass. Now she's closer to retirement with very little invested. The mistake here isn't lack of knowledge. It's avoidance. And avoidance is expensive. The solution is to start small. You don't need perfect knowledge. You need action. Even basic investing is better than no investing. Even a simple retirement plan is better than none. Clarity comes after action, not before. Now let's talk about something people rarely admit: trying to maintain a lifestyle to impress others. This habit is subtle. It doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like normal life. Upgrading your phone because everyone else has. Buying a car slightly above your budget. Spending more on social events than you should. It all seems justified. But here's what's really happening. You're spending money to meet expectations that don't improve your financial future. Let me give you an example. A couple in their late 30s decides to move into a more expensive neighborhood. Not because they need it, but because it feels like the next step. Their housing cost increases significantly. Now they have less room for savings, investments, and emergencies. The mistake isn't wanting a better life. It's prioritizing appearance over financial security. The solution is to define your own financial standards. Not society's, not your friends, yours. Ask yourself one simple question before spending. Does this improve my life or just my image? That one question can save you thousands. Now here's another habit that's quietly holding people back. Ignoring small debts because they seem manageable. Credit cards, small loans, EMIs. Individually, they don't look serious, but together, they create pressure. Imagine someone carrying 5 different small debts. Each payment feels manageable, but combined, they take a large portion of monthly income. This reduces flexibility. It limits savings. It creates dependency on the next paycheck. The mistake is underestimating the cumulative effect of small debts. The solution is to consolidate and prioritize. Focus on clearing high-interest debt first. Create a structured plan. Don't just pay minimum amounts forever, because minimum payments keep you stuck. They don't move you forward. Let's pause here for a moment and talk about something important. Most people think financial success is about big moves, big investments, big risks, big breakthroughs. But in reality, it's about small, consistent corrections. The habits we've talked about so far: unconscious spending, relying on future income, avoiding decisions, lifestyle inflation, ignoring small debts. These aren't dramatic mistakes. They're quiet ones. And that's why they're dangerous. Because they don't feel urgent until it's too late. Here's the reality check most people don't want to hear. If your financial situation hasn't improved in the last 5 years, it's not because of bad luck. It's because your habits haven't changed. Income matters, yes, but behavior matters more. You can't build wealth with the same habits that created financial stress. And this is where things start to shift. Because once you recognize these patterns, you can start replacing them. Not all at once, not perfectly, but gradually. Start by tracking your spending. Understand where your money is going. Stop assuming future income will save you. Build stability now. Make one financial decision you've been avoiding. Just one. Reduce spending that is based on impression, not value. Create a plan to eliminate debt step by step. These are not complicated strategies, but they require honesty and consistency. Before we move to the next part, I want you to think about this. Which of these habits are you currently repeating? Be honest with yourself. No judgment. Because awareness is where change begins. And if this is hitting close to home, you're not alone. In the next part, we'll go deeper into the remaining habits that are silently holding people back, and more importantly, how to fix them in a practical, realistic way. And if you've ever felt like you're working hard but still not getting ahead financially, stay with me. The next part might explain exactly why. Let's continue, because this is where things get even more real. There are a few habits that don't just slow you down. They quietly lock you into a cycle. And the problem is, most people don't even recognize them as mistakes. They feel normal, responsible even. Let me show you what I mean. One of the biggest habits I see, especially after 40, is not having a clear plan for your money. Now, I'm not talking about complicated spreadsheets or financial jargon. I'm talking about something very basic, knowing where your money is supposed to go before it actually goes. Most people don't do this. Here's a simple example. A 4-5-year-old earning a steady income. Bills get paid. Groceries are managed. Maybe some savings happen at the end of the month, if there's anything left. But there's no clear allocation, no defined structure. So what happens? Money flows wherever it's needed in the moment. Urgent things get priority. Important things get delayed. The mistake is living financially on autopilot. And autopilot works against you when it comes to money. Because without a plan, spending always wins over saving. The solution is straightforward. Give every dollar a job before the month begins. Decide how much goes to essentials, how much to savings, how much to investments, and how much to lifestyle. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be intentional. Most people don't realize this, but a simple plan removes a lot of stress. You stop guessing. You stop reacting. You start directing. Now here's another habit that sounds responsible but can actually keep you stuck. Saving money, but never investing it. Let me be honest. Saving alone is not enough anymore, especially in 2026. Think about this. Someone keeps putting money into a savings account for 10, 15 years. It feels safe. It feels disciplined. But over time, inflation eats into that money's value. So even though the number grows, the real purchasing power doesn't grow much. The mistake is confusing saving with wealth building. Saving protects money. Investing grows it. Here's a scenario. Two people start with the same income. One only saves. The other invests a portion consistently, even in something simple. After 10 years, the difference isn't small. It's massive. The solution is not to take big risks. It's to start with basic, consistent investing, even if it's a small percentage of your income. The key is time and consistency, not perfection. Most people delay investing because they think they need to know everything first. You don't. You just need to start. Now, let's talk about a habit that's emotional, but very real. Helping others financially at the cost of your own stability. This is especially common for people between 35 and 60. Family responsibilities increase. There are expectations, cultural pressures, emotional obligations, and people step in to help sometimes beyond their capacity. Here's an example. Someone regularly supports extended family members. Small amounts at first, then bigger ones. Over time, it starts affecting their own savings, their own plans, their own security. But they don't stop, because saying no feels uncomfortable. The mistake here is not helping others. It's neglecting your own financial foundation while doing so. Let me be clear, supporting family is important, but it should not come at the cost of your future stability. The solution is boundaries. Decide in advance how much you can realistically contribute without harming your own goals. Once that limit is reached, you stop. No guilt, no pressure. Because if you're not financially stable, you won't be able to help anyone in the long run. Now, here's another habit that doesn't get talked about enough. Not preparing for irregular expenses. Most people plan for monthly bills, rent, utilities, groceries. But life doesn't only operate monthly. There are annual costs, repairs, medical expenses, travel, emergencies. And when these show up, they feel like a shock. Here's a real situation. A family manages their monthly expenses well. Everything seems under control. Then suddenly, car repair, school fees, or a medical bill. And now they're forced to use credit cards or dip into savings. The mistake is treating predictable irregular expenses like unexpected ones, because many of these are not surprises. They are just not planned. The solution is to create separate funds for these categories. Even small monthly contributions can make a big difference. When the expense comes, you're ready. This reduces stress. It prevents debt. It keeps your system stable. Now let's talk about something that many people ignore until it's too late. Overconfidence in job stability. Let me be honest. No job is truly secure anymore. Markets change. Companies restructure. Industries shift. But many people continue to build their financial life as if their income is guaranteed. Here's what that looks like. Increasing fixed expenses, taking long-term financial commitments, relying on a single source of income. Everything works fine until it doesn't. The mistake is assuming stability instead of preparing for uncertainty. The solution is to build a buffer, an emergency fund, multiple income streams if possible, skills that keep you adaptable. This is not about fear. It's about resilience. Because when something unexpected happens, preparation gives you options. Let's pause again for a moment. If you look at all these habits, no clear plan, saving without investing, overextending financially for others, ignoring irregular expenses, relying too much on job stability, there's a common pattern. None of these feel like big mistakes in the moment. They feel normal. That's the problem. Because normal behavior is exactly what keeps most people financially stuck. Here's the reality check you need to hear. Hard work alone will not fix these issues. You can work longer hours, earn more money, push yourself harder. But if these habits remain the same, your financial situation won't change in a meaningful way. It will just scale. More income, more expenses, same stress. Most people don't realize this until years pass. And by then, the cost of correction becomes much higher. But here's the good news. You don't need to fix everything at once. You just need to start making better decisions consistently. Create a basic money plan. Move from saving to investing even in small steps. Set boundaries when helping others. Prepare for expenses that you know will come. Build a financial cushion for uncertainty. Simple action, but powerful results over time. Let me ask you something. If nothing changes in your habits over the next 5 years, where will you be financially? That question is uncomfortable, but it's necessary because your future is not decided by your intentions. It's decided by your patterns. In the next part, we're going to go even deeper. We'll talk about the final habits that silently destroy wealth, and more importantly, the exact action steps you can start applying immediately to take control of your money. If you're serious about changing your financial direction, the next part is where things start to come together. Now let's go deeper, because this is where things start connecting. Up to this point, we've talked about habits that affect how you spend, save, and plan. But there's another layer most people ignore. It's how you think about money. Let me be honest. Your mindset around money can either protect you or quietly destroy your progress over time. And one of the most damaging habits I see is this: believing it's too late to fix your finances. This shows up a lot after 40. People say things like, "I should have started earlier," or "I've already missed my chance," or "At this stage, what difference will it make?" And once that belief settles in, action stops. Here's a real scenario. A 2-year-old who has very little invested. Instead of starting now, even with small amounts, they avoid it completely because mentally they've already accepted that it won't matter. But that's not true. The mistake is assuming that time lost means opportunity lost. It doesn't. Time still matters. Even 10-15 years of consistent effort can create meaningful change. The solution is to shift your focus from regret to action. You don't need to catch up overnight. You just need to move forward. Because doing something is always better than doing nothing. And most people don't realize this. But the biggest cost is not starting late. It's not starting at all. Now let's talk about another habit that quietly limits financial growth, depending only on one source of income. This used to work in the past. One stable job, steady income, gradual progress. But things have changed. Today, relying on a single income stream is risky. Let me give you an example. Someone in their mid-40s with a good job. Everything is fine. Bills are covered. Some savings are there. But there's no additional income source. Now, imagine a disruption, job loss, health issue, industry slowdown. Suddenly, the entire financial system is under pressure. The mistake is building your life on one pillar. The solution is to slowly create additional income streams. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to replace your job. It just needs to exist. It could be freelance work, a small side business, investments that generate returns over time. Even a modest second stream creates flexibility. It reduces pressure. It increases control. And most importantly, it gives you options. Now, here's another habit that people rarely talk about openly: avoiding conversations about money. Let me be honest. Many people are uncomfortable discussing finances, even with their spouse, even with family. So, decisions are made silently. Mistakes are hidden. Problems are delayed. Here's a situation that happens more often than you think. A couple in their late 40s, both earning, both spending, but no clear communication about goals, savings, or priorities. Over time, misalignment builds. One person wants to save. The other spends more freely. There's no system, no agreement, and eventually, it leads to stress. The mistake is treating money as a private topic in situations where it should be shared. The solution is simple, but requires honesty. Have regular money conversations. Discuss goals, expenses, concerns, plans. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to happen, because clarity between people creates stability in finances. Now, let's look at a habit that feels productive, but often leads nowhere. Consuming financial content without taking action. Watching videos, reading articles, learning new strategies. It feels like progress. But if nothing changes in your actual behavior, it's just information. Here's an example. Someone spends hours every week learning about investing, saving, side hustles. They know the concepts. They understand the strategies. But they haven't implemented even the basics. No consistent investing, no structured savings, no change in spending. The mistake is confusing knowledge with execution. Knowledge is useful, but only when applied. The solution is to act on what you already know. Start small. If you've learned about budgeting, create one. If you've learned about investing, start with a basic plan. If you've learned about debt, create a repayment strategy. You don't need more information. You need more implementation. Let's pause again. If you look at these habits thinking it's too late, relying on one income, avoiding money conversations, consuming without action, they all point to one thing: delay. Delay in starting, delay in deciding, delay in acting, and delay is expensive because time keeps moving, whether you act or not. Now, here's the reality check. Financial improvement doesn't come from big moments. It comes from small decisions repeated consistently over time, and most people underestimate how powerful that is. Let me explain this in a simple way. If you improve your financial habits even slightly and stay consistent for a few years, the results compound. Less waste, more savings, better decisions, reduced stress. But if you keep repeating the same patterns, the opposite also compounds. More pressure, more missed opportunities, more dependence on income. This is why habits matter more than motivation. Motivation fade. Habits stay. So what can you actually do from here? Start by identifying one habit from today that you know is affecting you. Just one. Don't try to fix everything at once. If you've been avoiding investing, start small this month. If you don't have a plan, create a simple one. If you rely on one income, explore one additional option. If you avoid money conversations, have one honest discussion. If you keep learning but not acting, take one step today. That's it. Simple action. But they create momentum, and momentum changes direction. Before we move to the final part, I want to ask you something honestly. Are your current habits helping you move forward, or just keeping you comfortable? Because comfort feels safe, but it often comes at the cost of progress. In the next part, we'll bring everything together. I'll give you clear, practical steps you can start applying immediately. No complexity, no confusion. And if you follow them consistently, your financial situation will start changing. Not overnight, but steadily. And that's what actually works. Now let's bring everything together, because this is the part that actually changes something. You've seen the patterns, you've heard the habits, and if you've been honest with yourself, You probably recognized a few that apply to your own life. That's a good thing, because awareness is where control begins. But let me be very clear about something. Knowing all of this and doing nothing will not improve your situation. Information does not create results. Action does. Let me give you a simple picture. Imagine two people watching this right now. Both understand these habits. Both agree with everything. One of them makes a few small changes starting this week. The other says, "I'll do it later." Fast forward 1 year. Their knowledge is the same, but their results are completely different. That's how powerful small action is. Now let's talk about what you can actually do, starting immediately. No complicated systems. No unrealistic expectations. First, take control of your awareness. For the next 30 days, track your spending. Every single expense. Don't estimate. Don't ignore small amounts. Write it down, or use an app, whatever works for you. This step alone will change how you see money, because you cannot fix what you don't measure. Second, create a basic structure for your income. When money comes in, it should already have a purpose. Essentials, savings, investments, lifestyle. Even if the numbers are small, the structure matters more than the amount. This removes confusion. It gives direction. Third, start investing no matter how small. Let me be honest. Waiting for the right time is one of the biggest mistakes people make. There is no perfect time. Start with what you have. Learn as you go. Adjust along the way. Because time in the market matters more than timing the market. Fourth, reduce one unnecessary expense. Not everything at once, just one. Something you know doesn't add real value to your life. Redirect that money into savings or investment. This creates a shift. It tells your brain that money can be controlled, not just spent. Fifth, build a small safety buffer. Even if it's slow, even if it takes months, start putting aside money for emergencies. Because life will test your finances at some point. And when it does, preparation makes all the difference. Sixth, have one honest money conversation. If you have a partner, sit down and talk. No blame, no judgment, just clarity. Talk about goals, concerns, priorities. Because financial alignment reduces stress more than anything else. Now here's the part most people avoid, but need to hear. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a consistent one. Perfection delays progress. Consistency creates results. Let me say that again. Consistency creates results. Not big actions, not rare motivation. Small, repeated decisions. That's what builds financial stability. That's what builds confidence. That's what builds wealth over time. Now, here's your reality check. If you continue with the same habits, you already know where they lead. More pressure, more stress, more dependence on your next paycheck. But if you change even a few of these habits and stay consistent, your situation will start to shift. Slowly at first, then noticeably, and eventually, significantly. This is not about becoming rich overnight. This is about becoming stable, in control, prepared. And that's what most people actually want. Let me ask you one final question. A year from now, do you want to be in the same place or in a better one? Because the answer to that question is not based on luck. It's based on what you do after this video ends. Now, if this made you think even a little, I want you to do something. Go to the comments and tell me honestly, which habit hit you the hardest? Was it spending without awareness? Was it avoiding financial decisions? Was it relying on one income or something else? I read those comments, and it helps me create content that actually solves real problems. And if you found value in this, share this video with someone who needs it, because most people are struggling silently with money. Sometimes one conversation or one video can make a difference. And if you want more content like this, real, practical, no-nonsense advice, make sure you subscribe. Because the goal here is simple, to help you take control of your money, one step at a time. And remember this, you don't need more income to start improving your financial life. You need better habits. Start small, start now, and stay consistent. That's how everything changes.